Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 57, the PS5 Reveal breakdown. With me, George, and as always joined by Tom. PS5 Reveal. To my arrested for my reveal at the shops. How's it going?
I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Yeah. Had a good week of gaming. We've had some news. So, yeah, let's give them a breakdown, Tom, of how the show's going to go. Obviously, coming up, we've got some news in that. You can always bet on some Batman news, Tom. Oh, you didn't see that coming, did you?
Oh, I didn't see that
Then
coming.
the aforementioned feature, which is the breakdown of the PS5 reveal. After that, we slip and slide into the new release highlights, and the show ends when I ask you what you're hoping to play. But the show can only begin after they've turned that ignition, after they've gripped their steering wheels as they battle down the Corona highways. Tom, Odders, grip the wheel. Tom, what you been playing?
Nothing much really this week. I got a trophy on Streets of Rage. Got my first S rank. I don't know whether I cheated, but apparently the Streets of Rage 1 pixel characters are really OP because their hitbox is so big, which means they can when they punch, the range that they can reach or the area they hit is larger than some of the newer characters. So it's slightly easier to chain your combos together and do that. So yeah, just trying to, me and a friend of mine are still trying to clear the Mania mode. We keep getting through the odd stages. It's quite good because you can just tackle a stage at a time rather than when we're trying to do the arcade mode, you've got to go through on one run, which is pretty tough. Yeah, that's about it really.
No online shooters? You normally list
but no one wants to hear about all that.
What's going on that 10-year-old game Overwatch? You still playing that?
Yeah. It's still hanging in there, still providing entertainment. I got the Season 4 Battle Pass on Modern Warfare. They've chucked a few different things in. But yeah, the map's feeling a bit tired on that now. Again, the update size is ridiculous. I think eventually it will reach a point for people where they either have that as their only game on their console or they just delete it. So they need to really improve the file sizes and compression on those. But yeah, that's it for me. How about you?
Oh, well, obviously Minecraft for the ongoing stream on our YouTube channel. What else have I been playing? Oh, my Snatcher came from Repro Game Labs on the internet. Unfortunately, finally managed to get the Sega Mega CD RAM cart to work. Finally got Hideo Kojima's, some would say, his finest work to load. Missing the intro music. I mean, I know it's a repro, but crikey, missing the intro music. Went and did the first mission, came back, something really emotional had happened, and mouths were just moving up and down. No audio. So I've messaged the guy, nothing. I've messaged him on his website, nothing. I mean, the quality of the repro, the box itself, it looks great. The disc printing itself is acceptable to me. It's just that the game's missing audio. The spoken intro dialogue is gone. So hopefully he comes back to me. I don't want the Earth, even if, what's it got to come to?
Is it time to send the Ray after him?
The immortal Stingray to hunt him down and extract revenge. Maybe. I maybe should have just got the copy from Ray in the first place, and then we'd be well away, wouldn't we?
I'll make the call if you need it.
No.
He's on this. I got a special phone in the apartment.
Well, we've had a wave of new listeners. We're one of the biggest podcasts in Ireland for video games right now, and Indonesia. So we welcome those new listeners.
Thanks very much, Vince the Gamer.
Is he from Ireland? I don't think he is. Is he from Indonesia? I don't think he is. But thank you.
He's always promoting the show.
Is he? Is that right? Okay.
He is.
Well, I'd probably put it down to our good friend Colin Moriarty. That's where I put that to. He says our name every episode of his, so you can't ask for more than that, can you?
Wow, we are in the big time now.
We are. We really are.
I must admit, I don't keep much tabs on what goes on into the podcast. I just turn up and you know how it is. But that's impressive. Good work there. Tracking him down.
Well, it's thanks to the fans and the community that we continue to grow the way we do. Not that you care. You just keep taking the money. Phil now wires to you because you don't allow... You've gone very, what I would call Howard Hughes. You don't come in or out of your New York apartment. You only communicate to me once a week over Zoom.
Let's have a Zoom chat with the mayor. We don't go there, but been on the phone to the mayor of Farmington this week. And
what are you doing? Illegal content. Shut it down. It's not allowed. Farmington's, you, like King Jong-il, called an end to Farmington, and now it's done.
It's just good to keep up with what's going on there, though.
No, stop it now.
Okay.
You can't wear the Grim Reaper cloak one day and then decide you want to dance with the newborn babies of Farmington the next. It doesn't work like that.
It was such a good bit of lore, though. You would love it.
This is the episode to welcome in all the new fans, and you want to go down the Farmington route. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, well, we've probably rambled on enough about the new games. Tom, as always, wants to self-destruct everything because his ego probably doesn't even allow him to do a podcast anymore. I just do appearances at local supermarkets to open those, and I do that via video chat. I've got a robot with an iPad on, and I send it down there. FaceTime.
The statue of my great ancestor Smythe is going to be pulled down due to his involvement.
Stop it now.
I write the law. Stop me now. Go straight into the news.
I think next week will be a one-man show. From then on in. The news. We've scoured the very darkest of the regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, many Botham spies died to bring us this information. In what's starting to be a regular thing, the Microsoft Store has leaked another game ahead of schedule, adding to the Mafia trilogy and Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. The storefront hosted an advertisement for a title named Star Wars Squadrons for a short period of time. It's very safe to assume this is that Project Maverick that was leaked a few months ago. Spotted by Gamatsu, the leaked image prominently features X-Wing starfighters as well as TIE fighters, suggesting this is an experience focused on space battles. It's developed by EA Motive, and should we hear more about this project in the near future, we'll let you know. It's not known if it's an next-gen title or current-gen. VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb has gone on to say it's a single-player campaign that is a few hours long, but the focus, much to Tom's ears, is a multiplayer space combat experience.
They're good at leaking those, doing the Microsoft Store leaks, aren't they, at the minute?
They are.
But to be fair, this was all over the leaks and rumours anyway, as the Project Maverick rumoured game. Space combat, sort of Rogue Squadron style. I like the artwork that they put out. I think on their Twitter thing to officially confirm it's going to be shown on Monday. I don't know.
I'm getting modern X-Wing versus TIE Fighter vibes. I'd have preferred a solid single-player campaign to pay homage to that a little bit more. I don't want to be playing sort of like, 8 people loading in a lobby. Oh, great. Yeah, brilliant. Then you fly around an asteroid field, the Death Star trench, shooting each other, and it just be a spin-off of EA's Battlefront dogfight mode. I think that would be a shame.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that is not enough. The Battlefront 2 mode is definitely not enough to carry its own game or warrant it either. But I had thought of, like, imagine if you're in this lobby and it's actually doubles like the Rebel base and you're in the hangar, or the Imperial Star Destroyer, and you're all just stood around, like, just chatting the daily news, what you're doing as a Rebel or an Imperial. And yeah, I just think that'd be quite a smart way. And then, like, the siren goes off and you're all running about, you're getting up, scramble up the ladder, get into your cockpit, do all the checks. This is EA though, so none of this is going to happen.
Dude, That toad was meant to be licked one time last episode. So like all the big podcasters, we could trip on air, as you called it. It wasn't meant to be licked every 2 seconds.
Okay.
You've
But
done
I'm
the
saying,
law.
wouldn't that be good?
That would be amazing. Let me tell you now, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen? If there is a lobby, it's going to be a load of people all dressed in very similar clothes because they've either bought the same downloadable content pack as you. They're all going to be screaming at you, saying they're going to do vile things to your mother, like most online lobbies.
Mm.
And then it'll immediately be that it zips to you outside in the ship. There's not going to be any of this aforementioned role-playing that you want.
It'd be so good to hide the load screen as you go into hyperspace, where you come out of the ship and then you go into hyperspace, and they do like a little bit of loading, but it's hidden and then you just poof, straight out, and then it's straight into the fight.
I would, please. Anyway, as soon as you're so excited, pull your pillow up, take yourself a little rest. Always, I know you're a big Batman fan, or you claim to be. So here's this next bit of news. Always bet on Bat. It seems that parent company AT&T is eager to get out the games business, Tom, and it's put its games publisher portfolio up for sale with a valuation of $4 billion. According to a report by CNBC, rivals such as Take-Two, EA, Activision, Blizzard have all expressed interest in the acquisition, but no deal is imminent. Some of the studios under the organization's umbrella include NetherRealm, TT Games, Avalanche, and the aforementioned, with a reference to Bat, Rocksteady. Presumably, any progress projects will remain unaffected for the time being, but given that many of the publishers' titles are based upon licensed properties, a takeover could cause headaches in the future. Apparently, AT&T is floating the idea of a commercial licensing agreement which would allow it to continue to earn revenue of properties such as Lord of the Rings, etc. This is not boding well for what Rocksteady has been beavering away at under a rock for 5 to 6 years. Thoughts?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't impact sort of work in progress, especially work in progress that's probably going to get announced very soon over the coming months.
You would have thought, I think every time a big announcement series comes up, i.e. the E3 last year or the IGN Summer of Games, you keep thinking that Rocksteady are going to say something, but they are remaining super quiet. Why?
I'm trying to think how many years it's been since Arkham Knight. That was their last game, wasn't it?
Like 2014?
It was on the current gen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it was one of the very first wave of like proper games made for that generation.
2015 at the latest then. So that's a good 5 years by anyone's math.
I think surely we'll see something by the end of the summer. Rumors are pointing to a DC universe similar to the Avengers type game we've seen, like the
Justice League.
Maybe Justice League, but maybe something a little less well known. Some people are saying Suicide Squad. I don't know where I want that multiple heroes thing from them.
There was a rumor a while back. It was only a rumor, and it was never substantiated. But none of this has been substantiated. We don't know if they're working on a DC property at all. But there was a rumor they were working on a Turtles game.
Yeah, I think there was that one, and then the Flash was another rumor as well.
Yeah.
Whatever they do is probably going to be very good. They're certainly a talented studio, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully it's not impacted by the news you've just read out.
Well, that was a very short news segment this week because we're doing a feature that's mainly about the hottest news this week. Did we miss anything? Do you have an opinion or take on the news we missed? Let's face it, Tom. There's a million Nintendo fans just gave up and died.
Like me. Absolutely terrible. Terrible. What are they doing? Like, they're blaming coronavirus, that they're not putting out a direct or any news, or they're just like, might struggle with some of the releases this year.
It was a throwaway comment, but we're getting deep insider analysis now. Come on.
I just don't understand what's the difference between Sony are a Japanese company. Microsoft are in a country that is, or mainly are in a country that is one of the highest infection rates of corona. So why do Nintendo feel the need to say, oh, well, we're probably not going to be able to show a lot this year or put out, maybe some of the games going to get delayed? You've got two companies that are churning out next-gen consoles within the next 6 months. I mean, what are they doing? As a Switch fan, this year it's just been pretty dire. I know there'll be Nintendo fanboys up in arms, but I'm not interested in Animal Crossing. What else have you got? They've got Paper Mario coming, but it just feels like they're happy because they've won the market back. They've got, like, the Switch is still selling like hotcakes, and they're just churning out. Loads of other companies do remasters. I'm not saying it's them in particular, but this Mario rumored remakes, I'm just sick of remakes and remasters. Give us something new, please.
Okay.
I don't mean to beat on them too much.
Do they need to worry if they're getting an attach rate of Fortnite and Minecraft on every game, every console? Why do they
exactly like they don't need to worry? That's what I mean. It's just sad that like a lot of the fans who grew up with a lot of their IPs are now having to just put up with very minimal release window of
yeah, but you've grown up. You should be playing bigger boy games now. Why do you still want to play as a plumber that jumps around and bounces on mushrooms?
Mate, Mario Odyssey is one of the funnest games I've played, and if I get a PS5, I'll be playing Astrobot on there because it's just as fun. Doesn't matter what graphically it looks like.
Well, we'll get to Astrobot. I don't think you will be playing Astrobot, to be fair. I know it's free, but Astrobot, the camera experience, is currently free on PlayStation 4, and you've never even knew it was available to download.
I don't have a camera.
I don't think you necessarily need one.
I didn't know that.
No. Of course you didn't.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say is like, it's not about the way it looks or how mature it is. Like, I could quite happily play The Last of Us or Call of Duty and then happily play Mario. Both have different pluses and problems with them. It's sort of like, I don't know. If you enjoy them, it doesn't really matter. But that's the problem with Nintendo at the minute. They don't seem to have a lot of new stuff to offer.
Well, I'm sure he wants a quick show so he can get on with his sunbathing, but then he wants to wax lyrical about Nintendo and Farmerton. What a strange man.
Bad.
So anyway, did we miss anything? Do you have an opinion or take on the news? Let me pick some news that won't stoke his ire. I don't know. Did we miss the stealth drop of the PS5? Is it actually out to buy now, Saturn-like in the shops? If so, Tom, how do the collected masses get to interact with us so they can get in touch and tell us that we are just absolute flaming nincompoops?
You can direct messages on Instagram or Twitter, as a lot of you do. You can join us in our Discord chat, which you can follow the tree links on Instagram, and they'll take you to the Discord chat. There's lots of like-minded gamers there who are fans of all platforms. And also you can email us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com.
You also forgot our third wheel, Tom, the streaming service that we offer on YouTube. This show is now putting out more content, has put out more content than all of Game of Thrones, all of The Walking Dead. Unbelievable. It's the animal that just doesn't stop giving presents, isn't it?
It is.
Let's get to the feature. The reason why, let's hope, most of them turned up. I want to find out your opinion on the PS5 reveal. So the dust has settled, the smoke has cleared, the PS5 reveal and game showcase is now in our hands. The show, which lasted a little over an hour, showcased a bunch of next-gen games and gave us the very first look at the console itself. And just going by the broadcasts that me and Tom watched on YouTube, it was immediately clear that a lot of people were tuning into this thing. But the actual stats beg a belief. According to esports charts, the PS5 Reveal event broadcast peaked at over 7 million views, which is pretty good going, to be fair. That includes all the official streams as well as the streamers that streamed it, and then the people who watched along with those audiences. The average viewership across the entire broadcast, which includes the 4-hour wait, was the start, and that was around 4 million. Crazy numbers.
Madness.
Yeah. The hardware reveal itself has gone viral. The PS5 console reveal trailer currently has 15 million views, complete with, at the point of this morning, Tom, 899,000 likes and only 33,000 dislikes. That's pretty solid evidence, really. I'm sure there's a few sort of angry people out there that will dislike it for whatever reason. But the overwhelming majority of likes, probably quite significant. The individual videos uploaded to YouTube after the fact have also performed well. Horizon Forbidden West's announcement trailer has probably well over 3 million views by now. Demon's Souls, well over 1 million. Gran Turismo and Ratchet Clank are well over 1.5 million. And Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, leads the pack with a whopping 5 million. How does that make you feel?
Very excited, mate. I sat down at 9 o'clock on Thursday night. It was.
Did your cleaner and housekeeper bring you a cup of chamomile tea to enjoy the unfolding events with?
They did. Yeah.
How's your isolation in New York going at the moment?
We don't do law. I'll move on. Not allowed to do law.
That's season 2 law. Why did you not read the memo? You were a blithering halfwit. I'll call you out on air. Unbelievable.
It's just very hot here in NYC.
You are losing.
I lose track of the days. I lose track of the days.
I'm sure the consistency of a one-man show at this point probably. Oh my goodness,
Paulina doesn't keep me up to date with the ongoings of the outside world either.
Is she your new housekeeper?
Yes, Puerto Rican.
What happened to Limpo?
Gone.
All right, you're getting through them at a rate of knots, aren't you? Paulina, you better write that one down.
Accused me of all sorts of things. So,
Paulina did, or Limpo accused you?
Limpo.
Oh, you do treat people like property, Tom. I know how that feels. So, yeah, it's pretty brutal, to be fair. Let's rest that anyway and tear straight in. You're a very strange man. Let's tear straight into what was actually shown. Here's the games, as far as we can work out, that were shown on the evening. Astro's Playroom, Bug Snacks, Deathloop, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Ghostwire Tokyo, Godfall, Goodbye Volcano High, Grand Theft Auto 5, Gran Turismo 7, Hitman 3, Horizon Forbidden West, Jet to the Far Shore, Kena, Bride of Spirits, Little Devil Inside, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, NBA 2K21, Oddworld's Soulstorm, Pragmata, Project Athia, Resident Evil Village, Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart, Returnal, Sackboy Big Adventure, Solar Ash, and Stray. Do you want to talk about any of those? What I would say about Astro's Playroom is I think that's going to be just a very quick tutorial and explaining and or showcasing the features of the DualSense 5.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Apparently there's 4 worlds you can go to, or whatever they want to call them. Some are based on nostalgic PlayStation. I see one where it's like in the load-up screen of the PlayStation 2, I think. Yeah. You know, where everything whirls together with the lights at the start. I think that's... when I saw that, it did remind me of Mario Odyssey. But like the sort of 3D platforming and the way you move and interact and the abilities he has. I think I was unaware that it was actually bundled with the console, which I think is fantastic. That's a nice
the last one was as well. I mean, that Astrobots took on a little life of its own, really, after being in the PSVR demo disc.
Yeah, I'd love, obviously, for people if they're gonna do a VR2 for him to get another full blown game on there. But I'd also love to see a full blown just 3D platformer, maybe an expansion of this demo we're going to get, or small game we're going to get with the console. The other one I'll try and talk about in a little bit of order is when the stream started, and I was sort of thinking, what's going to be the first developer to what they're going to show first, and the Rockstar logo popped up. I think probably 7 million people held their breath for what they're about to see, and then disappointingly, we saw Grand Theft Auto 5. And I know it's still got a massive, massive user base, and it's very smart business-wise to get those deals of like, you're going to get GTA Online free if you have PlayStation Plus membership, which is good. I think I'd probably double back on that again if they're giving it away for free. It's this expanded and enhanced edition. They're talking like this is single player, and it's going to be coming in 2021. So I don't really know what else they can do, because obviously when we had the leap from 360 to Xbox One X and PS3 to PS4, the game got released on the next gen with a first person mode. So I don't see what else they can do. I mean, yeah, it massively improved the graphics and animations of it, I suppose, with the new technology of the next generation consoles. But are they going to add some story content? What I'd like to see is probably them take all the online stuff you can do. So like the Formula One car racing, all the extra vehicles, the casinos, all those things they've added in, I'd love to see in the single player, because it would just make that game have so much more content, but done quite easily, because it's already there. It just needs to be implemented into a story. But that would be great if you could play through it again, but have all those interesting, fun sort of side missions. What are your thoughts on GTA 5?
I think it's a shrewd way of locking. Well, I'll give you my thoughts on what I thought of the reveal. I, like you and probably 7 million others, saw the Rockstar logo and was like, no way.
Yeah.
And then we saw PS4 in the top left-hand corner and the Grand Theft Auto 5 gameplay. And I was like, well, is this going to show us how much it's changed? You know, and then nothing really. It was a bit of a troll, but, you know, based on the rest of the video, I'll let them off. I think it's a smart move. You know, it goes without saying that every single week, if you check the top 10 selling games, it's bizarrely a game that pioneered on last gen's console is in the top 5 week in, week out. It's Grand Theft Auto 5. It's still outselling games that have come out this week, last month. You know, and that beggars belief, and that must all be for the online. It really must.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
To say to all the people that are, and don't forget, there's a lot of kids that have finally got to a certain age where they can convince their parents to let them get Grand Theft Auto Online. We don't quite realise the buzz that's attached to it if you've never been able to play it. So let's say your birthday comes around, you ask for a PlayStation 4. Okay, finally, they're going to let you have it, Pro or Xbox One X or whatever it is, and then they let you have Grand Theft Auto 5 as well. You're going to kick the wheels off it. There's SWARs in it, there's illegals in it, there's all sorts of crazy action in there. So to say to that audience that sit across 2 console generations and 2 console leads as well in Microsoft and Sony, come over here, come early to PlayStation now, get your, not PlayStation now, but come over to our ecosystem now, get the online portion for free, get 1 million credits a month for use in online from now until the day this launches on PS5. Intelligent marketing, and probably someone who understands their hidden audience better than we do.
Yeah, certainly. It was strange to probably put it front and center, but like you say, we probably don't know the impact it actually has on sales of a console and online online subscriptions. Definitely,
they probably know, because they've got the stats behind the scenes that we don't have, that more people are probably online playing Grand Theft Auto 5 than you can possibly imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to probably get to PlayStation 2 levels of consoles sold, but they're not a million miles away. So that's a big audience. PlayStation 2 didn't have online. That's people paying £50 or maybe more if it's quarterly or monthly to get online with the console. That's where the money's been made this time round. So to hardwire them in and move that user base, that foundation seamlessly over to PlayStation 5. Again,
good.
It's probably easy to say, oh, really, that game's dead. It's been milked more than Skyrim. What are they thinking? But if the stats behind it and all the shark card purchases, which obviously PlayStation get money off, I should say that's been a stealth moneymaker. I mean, it's not stealth because it raises its periscope in every single MPD chart that you see. But, shrewd.
Just looking down the list, Demon's Souls remake looked really nice. I've never played that.
I've got some.
Do you want to?
I've got some info on that. So, Demon's Souls PlayStation 5 remake is officially a thing. Announced during Sony's PS5 Games Reveal event last night. It blew our socks off, and with an announcement trailer. We don't know when we'll get our hands on it just yet, but Blue Point Games' latest project will give us the option of prioritizing either the game's visuals or frame rate. As detailed on PlayStation's blog post, Demon's Souls will offer 2 different graphical modes. One will focus on fidelity and the other on frame rate. The article doesn't state what frame rates will be on offer, but we have to assume that the game will offer 60 frames per second, and should you opt for that mode. Meanwhile, the option focused on graphics will probably run at 30. That's just me and Tom spitballing, although it makes sense for this sort of project, Tom. So that's the Demon's Souls remake facts as we see them. You excited for that? I mean, it looked incredible in the trailer.
Yeah, I've seen some. What was even more impressive was I looked at some high-res screenshots that I think they were over on Push Square, and they look phenomenal, especially when stacked against the old one. I've never played Demon's Souls. I've played the other Souls games and Bloodborne, Sekiro, most From Software games. So I'm looking forward to this. Blue Point are pretty good at a remake, as we've seen with Shadow of Colossus. And what was the other one they did?
It's been rumoured that they're working on this. They've hinted themselves that they're working on it. It's been sort of out in our circles for a while. This is what they're on, so it's good that the covers are finally pulled off and people can talk about it.
Yeah, it was one of the titles at the show that really sort of showcased, hopefully, how much of an improvement this is going to be for next gen, especially with how detailed the world was in what we saw. Looking forward to that one. What I'll say is we didn't really get, and I think this will probably come later in the summer, it's like a proper launch lineup and a launch date for the console. So it's going to be difficult looking at all these games to get excited about a particular one.
Well, one game that I think is going to be a launch game is Spider-Man.
Yeah, we've got a rough date of winter 2020, haven't we, for that? So you'd like to think it'll either come on launch or within a couple of months of it. You'd like to think anyway.
Well, so, on the note of Spider-Man, obviously I saw that and, I thought it looked great. I was a big fan of the first one, Platinum that. Thought it was got all the DLC and finished all that. And it transpires, Sony Europe boss Simon Rutter made it sound like Spider-Man Miles Morales would be an expansion included in some kind of Marvel Spider-Man PS5 remaster. However, this isn't at all the case. According to trusted Bloomberg journalist and all-round good guy Jason Schreier, Spider-Man Morales is not an expansion or enhancement or remaster, despite a Sony executive comments this morning, he tells Bloomberg News, nor is it Spider-Man 2. It's a brand new standalone game, similar in scope to Uncharted Lost Legacy, Schreier writes on Twitter. So that's good news, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, I think there was a lot of confusion at the start, and it was probably executed quite poorly on them coming out and just making a right hash of saying what it actually was. I mean, to see that very early on in the presentation, that really set the bar pretty high, and it looked phenomenal. It looks like it's going to be a Christmas sort of setting with the very brief glimpses we saw of the city. So it'd be similar. I guess they'll reskin the city with a sort of Christmas snow vibe going on, which will be nice.
Yeah.
I really like Miles as a character. I think in Into the Spider-Verse was a good film. I think he's an interesting take on.
What did you think of him in the PlayStation game, though?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I think the way they did his backstory was quite smart. The gameplay as in was a bit bland because it was just sort of sneaking round, and it wasn't. You suddenly going from high flying, fist fighting Peter Parker to just a few very basic stealth areas, which kind of slowed the pace for me a bit. But I see why they were there, because I knew who he was and I knew who he was going to become. But for probably people,
spoilers, do you not actually become him? You do actually lead off the game, the one-player game, with really almost passing the torch, so to speak. Do you not? So
yeah, there's a brief cut scene at the end, isn't there, of Spider-Man 1. Spoilers again. It's between Peter Parker and Miles, and he's like he's saying, "What's wrong with me?" Blah blah blah, and then Peter sort of shows that he can do it as well. I think I might be getting this all a little bit wrong. I might be thinking of the film, but
no.
Yeah, and then it clearly, I feel like this Miles Morales game will be a standalone game in similar size to Uncharted Lost Legacy's been thrown around a lot as a size comparison. I think it will act as like a Spider-Man 1.5, and then we'll get the full sequel, because they can just carry this on a little bit and have Miles become a bit more familiar to a lot of people, and then they can incorporate him into the sequel quite a lot. Maybe have you playing 50-50 as Peter and Miles, or maybe even choose to play the campaign through as either. So you've got some really good value there of playing as two different characters.
We definitely need more from that, Peter. Because that game.
Oh, he's great! Yeah,
felt like a movie, better than a movie.
Yeah.
It was like the best rendition of Spider-Man in any media ever. It was absolutely flawless, I thought, from start to finish.
A lot of my friends have said, I hope they don't ditch Peter, because he is actually one of the best Peter Parkers there's been, which I'd agree. I've seen most of Spider-Man films and cartoons over the years, but yeah, I think he's really good. So so that was a nice surprise very early on in the show. So
the next one out the gates that I think we saw from memory was Gran Turismo 7. Coming to PlayStation 5 at some point, currently unspecified, and when it does, it looks like the real driving simulator will be making full use of the next-gen features Sony's consoles got to offer. It will support 3D audio, which we're sure will sound excellent through the use of the PS5's new wireless headset and the haptic feedback. The PlayStation blog claims that the latter feature brings to life what it's like when tyres hit the road. The 3D audio will allow you to position other racers or sense the position of the other cars on track, rather than having to look into your mirrors every few seconds. Of course, we'll have to see how this plays out in our homes, but it certainly makes promising reading. Tom, are you excited about Gran Turismo 7? I was excited when I saw that classic menu that aped really Gran Turismo 4, which to this point is my favourite version of the game that we've had.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely fine.
Cool. It was nice to see that menu, and it looks like it's going to go back to a full-fledged experience over the Gran Turismo Sport that they released. I think
when Gran Turismo Sport has finished with all its updates, to be fair,
it's still a big game, yeah.
Yeah, it's got loads of one-player content in it, licenses and single-player races you can do. It's not a skinny game. Anyone who thinks that's just a light version of GT is wrong, and I would say it's very sim-heavy. When you start playing that in the online portion, doing the daily races or the FIA campaigns, it's if GT7 comes and incorporates all of that plus all of the classic elements, I think it's going to be an absolute win.
Yeah, I mean, I played Gran Turismo 2, 3, and 4. I think I didn't play much of 2. I think they are very simulation heavy compared. Like, I absolutely love Forza Horizon series on Xbox, and I really do miss being able to play that. I don't know whether I'm going to get Gran Turismo 7 straight off the bat, especially if it is a sort of in that launch window, and there's a few others that are competing against it. Don't get me wrong.
Based on Gran Turismo, dude, we're not going to see this for like another 6 years or something ridiculous, are we?
Maybe, yeah. It looked pretty polished, but then are we just seeing a small part of it that they've just got ready for the show?
It's hard to know, isn't it? It's hard to know.
But I'm pleased for fans of the series, because that's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And
I think the most exciting thing would be the haptic feedback and that 3D audio. Now, I listened to the presentation on a surround sound system. Now, this surround sound system predates Jesus. It's 5.1. But that presentation and the game audio that we heard made it absolutely sing, Tom. It was literally singing. How did you listen to the presentation?
I had my surround sound headset on. It was really good, very impressive. Even like the weird sort of whatever the visual thing they were doing between each game was very well sort of orchestrated in its audio.
Yeah, definitely.
And the way it came through the headphones or through your speakers. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. I think they'll be able to utilise that in a lot of games, really. Maybe especially things like, we might not see another Metal Gear Solid one day, but maybe a stealth game, having various noises in tiny little movements, or a horror game. But speaking of horror games, we did get a look at Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8.
They've put out a press release, Tom. Producers Tissio Canada and Pete Fabiano have gone on to explain how the title is optimized for the next gen of consoles. It takes a more action-orientated approach. Fabiano says we were able to take all that we'd learned from those titles along with our internal development efforts and optimize the latest version of the RE engine for the next generation of consoles. Kanda adds, with the combined power of next gen and the RE engine, we can take our developer visions to new heights. Once again, we're planning a fresh take on survival horror, this time upping the ante on action a bit. The pair then go on to explain that Resident Evil Village will feature realistic graphics, immersive audio, and will not dabble, not one little bit, friend, in load times. The 8th installment is set a few years after Resident Evil 7 Biohazard and brings back protagonist Ethan Winters. Interesting.
Oh, now I feel I have to play the first, not the first one, but now I need to play 7, because I didn't realise that was the protagonist from that. And I've heard good things about 7, and it's always a really good price.
I got it. I got it around the same time as, I think it came with the PSVR support, didn't it? And I got it thinking, oh yeah, I'll play it in VR. It scared the living wits out of me, and it kind of put me off because it was too intense. What I need to do is go back and just smash through that. I'm not that bothered about horror games, to be fair. Smash through that as just a flat screen version, not VR, and just get that put to bed, because I, like you know, what I played in VR, I really enjoyed. Some of the locomotion was a bit stilted, but you know.
My brother's played and finished it in normal sort of screen mode, and said it was really enjoyable. So yeah, I think I'll probably know it now, and because I really like the look of this new one, I love the setting. I'll agree with some of the comments in our Discord chat this week that should they have ended the Resident Evil series sooner and had this as like a different spin-off, or are they sticking that Resident Evil name on it? Because I feel like there's so much they could do with some of these horror settings that it's sad that a lot of them always come down to like Umbrella involved somehow, and I feel like they've got such talented artists.
I think you and the Discord are just overthinking it. It's a Resident Evil game. Accept it for what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, it's a game about zombies.
Yeah, but they had the whole parasite thing in that was in 4, and I think the story gets complicated or overly complicated the longer a series goes on, and it might have been wise to have a fresh start at some point. Maybe, like, I think 7 was a very big departure with the first person mode brought in, and obviously this looks like it's going to continue that. But just going back to the village setting, where would you say that is? To me, the farmer with shotgun would say Scotland or North England, but the castle looks more Transylvania.
It looks very
Eastern
much
Europe.
Yeah, to me, I get the vibe of it being sort of almost a retread of 4.
Yeah, maybe we don't know whether it could be a sort of follow-on of sorts, but yeah, I guess we'll see. But
We will.
Pleased with that one.
What else?
What else forgot?
Well, based on my legacy with the PlayStation brand, I should be trading everything I own, as you quite rightly pointed out, for Destruction All Stars, a PlayStation 5, and a demo disc. Much as I traded my whole Nintendo collection for my young childhood collection of Nintendo for a PlayStation 1 and Destruction Derby. Destruction All-Stars, Tom, looks to be a big online play for PS5. Developed by X Bizarre Creations. We're a big fan of theirs. Staffers at Lucid Games, the title appears to depict a kind of future sport where colourful characters compete on both foot and behind the wheel. Now, you being such a rabid and almost boring fanboy of Overwatch, you'd think you'd be all over that.
I thought, when I first saw it, I was like, what is this? Is this like some kind of rollerball or something like that? And then I saw it, and then I saw the name. Obviously, it has that Destruction Derby element to it. But I think this looked really, really good fun. I think the trailer was well presented as well. It was punchy, like nice sort of music to go along with it. It's very colourful. It reminded me a bit of Robot Wars as well, in a way, with like some of the vehicle upgrades you can get about sort of cutting them in half and crushing them and various things. The on foot thing sounds very strange, though. I don't quite know how that's going to work.
I didn't quite know. I mean, Bizarre Creations, obviously, I love them because they made the Formula One games on the original PlayStation. Then they came over to Sega and made Metropolis Street Racer, and then they migrated from there to Microsoft, and they made the pseudo sequels to that series. They made the Gotham series. They also made that shooting game. Was it called The Club? Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah.
And this, they also made, I don't know if it was Lucid Games, but I think they also made that game Blur. I think that was as bizarre, wasn't it? Which again was a similar online experience to this. That didn't sell well. To be fair, I don't think they've done a game that sold well since the last PGR they did, with obviously Microsoft's weight behind it on advertising and online support.
That's a shame, because I think they've got a lot of talent in that studio, and with this looking like a very online multiplayer game,
I'm slightly concerned. It's almost like a game that's been developed through a spreadsheet. Like, what's hot? Big colourful characters in Fortnite, big characters in Overwatch. What else is hot? Rocket League. Right. So the Excel spreadsheet says an online game with big colourful characters and car stunts could be a hit. Yeah, make it. Oh, we've come up with Destruction All Stars. That's my only concern. Is it a game that's driven so hard by an Excel spreadsheet into what they feel is a subsection of a community, that it's actually forgotten what it needs to be a good game? It needs to be driven by passion by the staff at Lucid Games.
Yeah, I think more the biggest problem with a lot of these online games is the fact that they have got to enter such a competitive market. Like, online games get very much, and I'll admit to this, you get in your bubble of like what games you play. You might play 2 or 3 online games, and you play that with friends. So when one of you wants to take the plunge and like, oh, we should try this, everyone's got to go in. Otherwise, because if 1 or 2 of you do it, it's just like, oh, no one else has jumped on the bandwagon, and it must be a really tough nut to crack for a new entry, especially a new IP as well. So I think they've got that against them. But overall, I think it looks good. I agree with your comments about it does look a bit of a mishmash of what's hot at the minute. But I hope it does well. I think it, like I say, it looks great.
Another game that caught our eye, Returnal. Housemarque, the Finnish development studio, has been itching to do something different for a time. Build us a cross between a roguelike and a third-person shooter. The hook of this game, Tom, is that the title changes each time you die.
Yeah, this look very cool. This is the one with the woman traveling through space, isn't it? And she lands and she has to survive, and it's just like the constant loop of
the planet being different each time, almost like the gameplay being different each time. So, that piqued my interest. It's something very different for them. Some of the other games, I think Godfall didn't really... I've seen so much of that now, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not that interested. Goodbye Volcano High seems to be appealing to the Life is Strange community. I said to someone yesterday, it looks like a cross between Planet of the Dinosaurs and Gem and the Holograms, that 80s cartoon, if you remember what that is. Hitman 3 looked quite interesting, did it not? I wasn't quite sure. I've
never been into them, so I can't really say on that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
The graphics certainly piqued my interest. It was hard to know really what that game was at first. There was a few that sort of played that card, wasn't it? Where it was like, I could be this, but I could be something else. Horizon Forbidden West, obviously, that was probably after Spider-Man, one of the biggest reveals.
No, I feel like Spider-Man and Horizon kind of bookended the show. Horizon just looked absolutely phenomenal.
There were a lot of cutscene in there, but there were scenes of what I would call gameplay, and it almost looked the bit too real. Where she's on when she's on one of the striders or whatever they're called, and the camera's panned back, and you could see like a building with trees on it and vines on it and other bits and bobs. Obviously, as soon as they finished Horizon and the DLC, they immediately switched to this. So this game's been in development for quite some time already.
I think we could see that winter next year. I think that'll be that big game.
One of the other surprises of the reveal was Oddworld, Soulstorm.
Yeah,
good. That came from nowhere, didn't it? Yeah. It looks very much to be homage to the classic titles, i.e. it's a
I like the fact that
5D platform game with sort of almost strategy elements to it.
I like the fact that you've got to get his species, like a number of them, maybe like 50 through a level each time. And you can obviously do very well or very poor based on how many of them you get through. I like the look of that little devil inside, a little indie game. That looked really interesting.
The comedy, the trailer was playing it for laughs, but I thought that it was...
There's a comparison there of like an old guy and a young guy, like the young guy's out doing all the battling and adventuring, and then the old guy is just, I wonder how that's going to play out. Is that him in retirement, reliving his past glories, or who knows? Kenna Bridge of Spirits as well was another one that caught my eye. The team who put that together produced a Majora's Mask CGI video quite a few years ago. I remember my brother sending it to me. It's like, "You seen this?" And it's like, it looked phenomenal. So I think they're artistically very talented people. I don't know whether the gameplay will sort of stand up. You said you had sort of Pikmin vibes going from it. Which
it looked to be like a Zelda cross Pikmin vibe, didn't it? Like you had to...
getting the creatures to do stuff for you.
Yeah, and gather up the creatures as you go through. It seemed to have that sort of style to it. NBA 2K21 looked impressive, but it always does, doesn't it? No matter what console generation we've had, you always look to a basketball game to really show you what it can do as far as triangle crunching or polygon crunching can do. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, by the way.
Oh yeah, that looked fantastic. I love that idea of like very seamless as well. Opening a rift and then going through into a completely different world, like no loading,
to be
straight through.
Well, you say there was no loading. There was a couple of times where it hitched if you noticed.
Well, yeah, but
No, but what I'm saying is that means that
it's
what we saw was real.
Yeah.
Which plays more to the strengths of, like, my crikey, you know, that. I mean, I don't. Like the first part of it, we saw where there was a constant flick through the rifts, which I think is probably going to form like a tutorial part with, like, maybe just showing us the different rifts you can.
All the different mechanics and stuff as well. Yeah.
But what we actually saw towards the end of the gameplay was where they were using the rift to sort of fast warp across to an area or snap two bits of scenery together. Which, again, there's going to be different mechanics at play there, and almost a hint of like an alternate reality Ratchet as well. Did you notice?
Yeah, there was
at the end, and she was like, "Who?" So that was again, that would be nice. That would be interesting.
I feel like that has probably got the highest potential out of most of these to be a launch title.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know. It looks the most finished and the most furthest along. It's a bit hard to tell with some of the trailers.
I think that Marvel's Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, they're definitely going to be there day one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, we've still got some third-party stuff, obviously, that we're going to see over. I think there's something on tonight, a gaming event that was postponed from last Saturday, which is on this evening. So, yeah, we're going to have some great...
One thing that intrigued me, and actually probably is my most sort of... There's a few titles that I'm looking forward to, but that one that came completely out of left field, Stray, where seemingly you control a cat, I thought that looked like that, you know, in times, that looked unreal.
Yeah, I like the robot design as well. They look like they've got like big old 80s Apple Macs as heads with like the green screen in the face, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah.
I also thought the Capcom game Pragmata looked quite interesting, a bit of a Death Stranding vibe there.
I thought when it first started, I thought, is that the Death Stranding Spaceman? No way.
Yeah, I thought that,
but seemingly not. That was a bit of a shame, I suppose. It still looks interesting. I was a little bit perturbed by the female, the small girl's hair. It looked very PlayStation 3 tech demo.
Yeah, definitely. But maybe it's quite early on. We just don't know, do we?
Well, very early on, because that was... When did it say that was launching? 2022 or something daft?
Oh, yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. It's quite, yeah. One was very far away. I think it was that. Deathloop, this one I actually really enjoyed. The trailer gave me vibes of a film called Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which will be my VHS.
Wow.
Where basically like old war veterans are hunted for fun. And it's that idea, but it seems like there's an actual death loop. So when you die, you start the loop again, and there's other assassins involved in the game. I just thought the gameplay looked very slick and fast-paced and nice.
It gave me 13 vibes. Do you remember that game that's relaunching for Switch, actually, and I think other Xbox and PS5, but was a Cube, Xbox, and I think even PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, it was.
It felt like that, didn't it? I was a bit unsure. Again, these are very early first looks, and we'll find out more. Sony themselves say they've got plenty more to reveal. Let's get to the console and its accessories itself, Tom.
Yeah.
Big question out there. Can the console lie down? Sony might have led with a vertical arrangement for the PS5 Reveal, but don't fret. You can place your PS5 horizontally, as with all previous PlayStation consoles. Sony's confirmed that with a couple of images it's put out. Some news from outside of the reveal, Tom. Backwards compatibility. Extensive testing needs to be carried out in order to ensure that current-gen software runs correctly on next-gen hardware, and Sony is still in the process of setting up over 4,000 PS4 titles for use on PS5. We said that the PS5 has been designed to play PS4 games. We're going through the process with the publishers and developers, trying that rather exhaustive library of over 4,000 games. We're happy with the progress that's made. Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan told CNET, PS4 games will benefit from increased frame rates, high resolutions on the next-gen console. So over 4,000 PS4 games now confirmed backwards compatibility. That at least will give you something to play when you finish with all your flashy next-gen titles.
I think if the launch games aren't that strong, which we don't know yet, you've got some big hitters still from this year. Doom Eternal, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, both still to come.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some good stuff on there that if you can't afford them at the minute, or you've got a big backlog come PS5 launch, you might think, you know what, I'll pick that up as well because it's going to run slightly better. And I've never played it, so yeah, nice to have the option there.
Yeah, and the design and the reveal at the end of the show, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I thought it looked incredible. I know that some people say, oh, it's pony or it's massive, but I just think that for the first time, possibly since the 360 came out, there's a console there that's booked all trends and, you know, looks great. I mean, I like the waist of it. I like what Sony are referring to in some circles as the popped collar. I like the cutout at the back. I like the detail on the inside of the white plastic of the almost eggshell finish to it. I don't know whether that's...
Yeah, I did notice that in the
I don't know whether that's some sort of airflow circulation thing. If you have a rough surface, obviously it turbulence the air a little bit more. So whether that's some sort of feature that means that the air's coming in disturbed and therefore, you know, more able to help cool the console, because they're talking about some very innovative cooling techniques. It's the boldest and strangest console that Sony's ever cooked up, but it's certainly memorable. Remember, you'll be able to purchase the next-gen system with or without a 4K Blu-ray drive, whichever you prefer. We might already know that the PS5 has been designed with an innovative new cooling system in mind, and Sony has reiterated that it's done a lot to make the next-gen system as quiet as possible. In an interview with The Guardian, Tom, Sony Europe boss Simon Rutter says a great deal of effort's gone into making sure that the PS5 is less noisy than the PS4. I just want to pause there for a moment and say, I've got a Pro, and I had been playing a lot over the lockdown period. I've been playing quite famously on here the Assassin's Creed series on the PS3, and had no console noise. I then switched over to PS4 to play Assassin's Creed Liberty, and the console sounded like it was going to take off, and I was like, I do not remember this. Anyway, I unplugged it, pulled the lid off, and it was filthy in there. And I try and keep my electronics clean. But it's amazing how much time passes. I cleaned it out, and the same game that made it sound like, well, very loud, I'm not even going to beat around the bush here, all of a sudden it never broke in again. It was whisper quiet. So,
wow. And that was on the PS4?
Yeah, PS4 Pro. I recommend anybody takes their console lid off, which Sony's made it able to do, and take the time to clean out all the dust in there, get some cotton buds and clean the fan blades, and you'll notice that the console's noise almost disappears. So I think the same could be leveled at any of these next-gen consoles. Oh, it sounds very loud. Take the time to take it apart and give it a good clean out. Put the evidence up on the Discord and show us how dirty the inside of your console got. Because I think some of you will be shocked, because I felt like I'd not that long cleaned it. But when I opened it up, I started thinking, well, when was it? Was it like 18 months ago? Was it 2 years ago?
Hashtag Stingrays Dirty Closet.
Wow.
Boom.
Okay. Well, so next week we'll go through a list of people's... we'll go through loads of pictures of people's consoles all dirty, and we'll talk about it. I'm looking forward to that. It's a great...
You would.
That's a great new idea that you've come up with. Anyway, let's continue. As many of you know, the PS4 can be pretty loud at times, largely depending on the age and usage rate of the console. Older systems can sound like jet engines when playing. Again, I recommend you clean them out. But
you are avoiding that warranty, though, aren't you?
No, you're not. No, you're not. If you you're allowed to take the lid off to clean the fan. Yes, you are.
Okay, that's cool. No, I just wanted to check.
That's not a void of the warranty in any way, shape, or form. I can't speak for Xbox, but I do believe that the Xbox One is able to be took apart to clean the fan as well.
Very good.
The PS5 is our sincere hope that the fan loud noise is a thing of the past. At launch, Sony says there'll be two versions, the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive version and the digital edition without a tray or without a drive. The PS5 gameplay experience will be the same, so it's a choice is all yours. There'll be slight differences in the look of each model for the overall design, but I think, Tom, to say this is unlike any. It's a design idea and ethos is unlike any previous PlayStation we've seen before ever.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about the the disc version and the discless version? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's really nice to give people the option of, clearly the digital one you would think would be cheaper. So yeah, annoyingly that makes me worried how much extra the 4K Blu-ray disc tray one's going to be. But it's nice to have the options for people. Myself, I'd rather have the physical discs, and also I can watch my Blu-ray movies on it. But there's a lot of people who just live without that. They just have digital everything. They stream all their films, they stream all their music, they stream all their video games. So yeah, a wise move, both bases covered.
It makes sense for Sony to maybe want to. I think they're going to take a big hit on that digital edition because a Blu-ray drive, is somewhere between 20 and 30 GBP to buy that would go into something like a PlayStation console. So to make if there was a difference of either 20 or 30 pounds between a digital edition and a disc-ray version, I don't think you're going to get the traction. So I think that they're probably going to either inflate the price of the disc version or take a massive hit on the discless version to try and differentiate a price between the two. If you go for the digital edition, you are locked into Sony's ecosystem big time. If you go with the discless version, you can always trade out of the situation and go into another console manufacturer, or come the day, let's say for you instance, where the PlayStation 6, if such a thing comes out, you could trade out of your PlayStation 5 collection and into a PlayStation 6. With the digital edition, your purchases are locked behind a paywall and you can't extract or leverage any form of trade-in value out of that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think when we load up our PlayStation 4 information and all that, are we going to be able to transfer our data and all our downloads over to the PS5? You'd like to think so. But in terms of physical trading and stuff to make sure you can get that new console or swap over to a different company, it's a good point. You're not going to have that option with the digital only. So, yeah, plenty for people to think about with that on the.
They also released or showed a whole gaggle of accessories, Tom. If you're planning on getting the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive, you'd probably be quite interested in getting that cool-looking remote, one would imagine. Seemingly set to launch alongside the system later this year. There's that cute little camera, dual 1080p lenses, which will allow you to broadcast yourself alongside your epic gameplay moments, as Sony say. It's got a clasp shell, which you can utilize to attach to your TV, and it's much smaller than the PlayStation camera. One thing I'd say about that, Tom, is that's a cracking idea, because I've got the PS4 camera, and I had to buy like a 4Gamers, but it was an officially licensed TV grip for it. Now, the Sony Bravia range has got like a ridge along the back of it that was put in specifically for this mount and the PlayStation 4 camera. And it looks to me like this clasp shell, which it unfolds around the back. So if you have it just sat on desktop mode, it's the taco style, as you call it. But if you have it on top of your TV, its form factor gets even smaller. And that back shell actually rotates round and clips into the back of the ridge on a Sony Bravia TV.
That's cool.
I can't speak for other TVs whether they've got a ridge there, but it certainly makes the integration easier. And also hints, I would say, out the gates at PlayStation VR compatibility.
Yeah, definitely. I think streaming's going to become more and more popular as well, and making that easy for everyone is a big thing, and will sway buyers to go for that console.
Yeah.
So it's good to see.
They also showed that media remote I mentioned earlier. It's got a microphone in it, Tom, for voice recognition, so you'll be able to use it like the DualSense controller. Yeah, it's got the same two-tone color format as the console, with a black stripe running through the center of the unit. Though, obviously, with all these accessories, no word on price. They also announced and showed the 3D wireless headset, Tom, or the Pulse 3D wireless headset, as they called it, which is an updated version of the headphones that they've been selling alongside the PlayStation 4 for some time. Sony said about the headset, it will offer 3D audio support and noise cancelling microphones. I mean, I've got a set of the PlayStation 4 headset. What am I talking about here? Headphones, I think they're absolutely cracking.
Have they got a mic with them?
Yeah, it's all built into it. Yeah. So it looks like there isn't a mic, but there is a mic actually on the side of it, which is actually quite good quality.
The new ones look excellent, and we're probably one of the... I mean, the camera's great if you're into streaming and stuff, but the one that caught my eye with the headphones, the set I've got are really good. I do like them, but eventually they will need replacing. So out of all the add-ons or the accessories, I think the headset would be probably the one I go for, because it's the one I've utilised the most, especially with the boy sleeping above where game. I don't like to be making loads of noise, so having the audio come through headsets quite important for me.
Well, is that all we've got to say? Because we've got a call off your feral beast, will you please? Anyway, what we've got to say is we've every week we put out our topic of the week, which is where we put it on Instagram and we put it on Twitter, and we ask listeners for their opinions to get featured on the show. And there, people have made their way to the latest post, which is, what did you think of the PlayStation 5 reveal? And we obviously have a whole host of listener feedback to let us know what people thought. First up, we've not heard from this gentleman in a while. It's Tommy Thompson 69. He says, I think it looks pretty damn cool, to be honest. Hashtag the future is here. Road to Thinner Me got in touch. The wonderful Stephen. I hope you're well, Stephen. He says, I think it's a waste of hardware making a digital edition console. And where is Dead Space 4? Now, he's alluding to the fact that the Dead Space writer has said that he would be revealing a game in the PlayStation Reveal. Now, we don't know what game that is. I'm sure more details will come out as the time approaches. And he had a little conversation. As always, we definitely encourage conversation on there. And him and Chronicles of a Gamer had a nice little chat. Chronicles of a Gamer has gone on to say, I cannot wait for PS5. What an awesome look. Some of the games were amazing. I'm so hyped for this. I knew I wouldn't be disappointed, he says. Quite true. Mark.garage.gamers, the man that predates the internet. Sounds like Tom's rejoined us finally.
I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that.
So, Mark Garage Gamers, he says some very pretty games on display. Gran Turismo looked special. Ratchet and Clank looked superb, although very busy, with so much going on. Sackboy always warms my heart. However, I was not keen on the console design, he says. It looked very strange, horizontal to me. He says no backwards compatibility news either. Well, Mark Garage Gamers, we've sorted that for you. 4,000 titles out the gate so far, and that will look to increase too. Patches in Official, our friends from north of the border, Tom, possibly the best Scottish gaming podcast. Overall, it was great. There are a couple of games that we're having fun there, because players too, obviously, they recently celebrated their birthday, and I wished them good tidings, and they wished us the same back, Tom. So that's nice to see that we're all supporting each other in the lower leagues down here. Patch is unofficial. Overall, it was great. There are a couple of games that I wish that would have been shown a bit more, but possibly just aren't far enough along in development quite yet. Very excited for Horizon 2. It looked gorgeous, and I think it'll be one of the best-looking games of next gen, judging by what we got to see, Hamish. Thank you, Hamish.
Yeah.
Dadkin Game. I can't remember if you've done a clap for him recently, but new listener, he can have one anyway. There's no wrong with 2 claps, Tom, is there? He says, I feel the design is like a little overkill, almost like they are more focused on being prettier, fancier looking rather than more powerful and better preforming. I think he means performing there. Some of the games, however, do have me interested, such as Ratchet and Clank, Hitman, the 2 Bethesda games, and even Oddworld. It's hard to say right now who's done the better job, especially considering it all feels a bit rushed together.
I think as a digital event, it was really good.
Well, we know that Sony didn't want to do, as soon as obviously Corona took hold, they realised that their features were going to have to take place outside of a E3 environment, and they did say they didn't want it. Sony refused, to the point, this is why it took them so long to get round to doing it, is because they wanted it to look professional, so they had to ship green screens and 4K cameras so they could get developers and their own staff shot, not at home. And this is not me beating up, this is just Sony's different tack to Xbox's tack, where Xbox went with a bit of a raw, very early Corona virus feed, where even news reporters reporting from their home. Xbox decided to do their third-party reveal. We're still yet to see them do their first-party reveal, which is rumoured to be coming in July. Is it not, Tom?
Yeah, I think mid-July.
So they might now choose to adopt a slightly different style for that event, but they went for their third-party reveal with people sort of in their kitchens and in their studies at home, which Sony flat out refused to do. So it took them a little bit longer to get this presentation together. They wanted it to have a cohesive feel and look.
It was better than most presentations I've sat down and watched. I thought it for an hour. It never really. There was a couple of times it felt like it dragged, but overall, it had me hooked for a solid hour.
Yeah, true.
And I wouldn't even say that about E3. Sometimes there's a lot of needless pomp with E3. I do miss like an audience reaction, like a big audience in the theatre seeing something like we've always talked about, the God of War reveal, Zelda, Twilight Princess, stuff like that have happened over the years. It's sad we probably won't get that we might never get that again if E3 chooses to go a different route. But overall, I think as a digital event, it was really impressive. Who we got next?
Comic Picture 79, a man who sits on the Xbox side of the fence. He says the machine looks good, but I prefer the design of the Series X. And that's not because I'll ultimately end up getting it. I like the idea of an all-digital version because for someone like me, that's the way I buy all my games. I think, as always, the exclusives look good, but I'm not sure the likes of a remastered Bloodborne is that big of a deal. To be honest, unless you're invested in the sequels to the exclusive games, I think Xbox is going to offer the most fidelity for multi-plats. But at the end of the day, resolutions are as now high as the human eye can resolve, so there isn't going to be a hugely discernible difference between the machines. As always, it's more about where your friends stroke library and a gamer score are for actual gamers, non-fanboys, and that'll be what drives people to either of the two systems, which appear to me to be neck and neck in terms of quality. I think the reveal was excellent, and it obviously going to get more coverage in the short term over the coverage of the also excellent video MS released a couple of weeks ago, and that's a shame. He says that he seems to think there's definitely a media bias. Hopefully not on this show. He said, however, Resident Evil 8, ! So he seems into that. Raises some good points. Obviously, it depends. At this point, I think the battle lines have been drawn. I think if you've been with PlayStation to this point in time, you've probably thrown down that much money in the digital ecosystem that it would be crazy to leave. It's the same for people on the Xbox side of it. They've thrown down so much money on Games Pass and adding games to libraries and other things that to leave that foundation that you've made. It doesn't, Sony's sold probably 4 or 5-1 PlayStations to every Xbox that's been released. So does that mean this gap's now going to be pretty much locked in 2-step for every generation going forward, or is Microsoft going to pull something out of the bag that lures people away from the PlayStation brand? We've yet to see. New listener, Retro
Lost and Loved.
Lost and Loved. I had a little moment there. I thought he was going to call himself Rolo Stand Love. But no. Retro Lost and Loved. New listener. Didn't put the effort in there that I should have done. Thank you for your comment. It's very much well received. I like your picture there. You've got an R2-D2 in the background then, friend. It's impressive. He says, I like it. Futuristic design that stands out. Short but sweet, Tom. We've got seem to have attracted a lot of podcasts to whether they're looking for a free pop and they want to springboard off the back of our success. I don't know, but Love and Other Drugs podcast says, hi, Robin from the Love and Other Drugs podcast here, talk about cheap pops left, right, and Chelsea. How sleek is the design? I was panicking that Horizon Zero Dawn wasn't going to make it, and they done a swore here, Tom, which we're a PG podcast, so we'll bleep out, and they bleeping delivered, yes, can't wait. Certainly know their stuff, and they're, fair play to them, I'd say. It's, thank you for your comment, girls.
Thanks for the comment.
Boba. Now, on the stream, Tom, obviously,
do you want to read all these?
Yeah, why not? Boba and his family have supported the stream nearly every day, be it Tanto Ninja or Boba, and it seems there's a rift forming, almost Captain America Civil War style, in the Boba household. Toxis, the better half, he'll get in touch with me and give me some hassle for this. The better half of the Boba twosome wants a PlayStation 5, thinks it will look better in the lounge. So maybe we're going to see XBM Network become the PSN thing going forward, Tom. What do you reckon? Anyway, I
don't know.
You're a wordsmith as always. He says, looks cool. Digital version looks better, more symmetry. I would agree with that, but I want the disc tray. Games looked decent. Gran Turismo piqued my interest. Ratchet and Clank looks fun. Sadly, none of this is enough to pull me away from the Xbox, though. If your good lady says no Xbox, you ain't getting Xbox, friend. Maybe later down the line when it's cheaper, I'll pick one up for the handful of exclusive games I'd like to play. But I said that about PS4 and I still don't own one. Well, maybe things are about to look up. When privileges in the bedroom get locked down because you can't get access to your whatever, you're going to end up with a PS5, aren't you? Glad they've shown this is the actual console. Now we just need to see the price of next gen.
That's just good point with the prices. I think both are scared to show the price. No one wants to go first.
I think that the price of this next gen with their PlayStation 5 with its unique SSD technology, and Xbox going with the extra 2 teraflops, I think they've both ran up a hardware bill that's going to be a difficult pill to swallow. Obviously, they're going to try and absorb as much of that and hope to recoup it through software sales. But yeah, it's not going to be. I think it's going to be pricey. I think it's going to be north of $450.
Yeah, that's why the longer it goes on, the more it makes me think it'll be expensive. I think if it had been a reasonable price, it would have been announced by now, and one of them would have just bit the bullet. Yeah,
well, maybe they're waiting because the other one could then lever off that and be £50 cheaper or be £50 more.
Definitely.
Last week's winner of the comment of the month, Tom, and he still needs to get in contact with and finalise his choice of what he wants. He can have as anything he wants off Adam the Artist's shop on Comic Pictures on Etsy. You can get the Man Who Finishes Games t-shirt. You don't even have to be on Official Controller Podcast in any way, shape or form. There's Star Wars, Avengers, DC, Transformers, Prince, all sorts. And every comment, the best comment every month, Tom, wins a prize. It doesn't get better than that, does it?
It does not. No.
Does not get better. Something for nothing. Unbelievable. Anyway, C. Pliskin says, He's a wordsmith, is this guy, Tom. Oh, my word, that was one of the best presentations I've watched in some time. The design of the console looks way better, if you ask me, and it kind of reminds me of what the PS4 looked like at first. I thought the conference started a little strange by showing the GTA 5 will be released to the PS5, but not quite as a launch title. I don't get that. The standalone expansion to Marvel's Spider-Man looks great and a good inclusion, as I assume a launch title. Ratchet & Clank's Rift Apart. I was wearing my Team Ratchet & Clank t-shirt and watching the show live with one of my acting buddies. He's an actor, Tom, much like yourself. And I was so happy to see the series continue. Sackboy, I thought, was great to see back to the point. I stopped making tea halfway through to run back to the TV when I recognised who it was. I also thought the focus on new games like Kenner, Pragmata, and Little Devil Inside to be very refreshing. Overall, I really did like the presentation, despite the lack of a price for the console or the launch lineup for the system. I'm totally sold by the return of some of my favourite PlayStation exclusive franchises, alongside the fresh new games shown off at the event. The length of this message shows my enthusiasm, right? ? I would say so. C. Pliskin, the only other person that's written more than you was probably Comic Pictures. So there we go. Dubai Jim's got in touch, Tom. He says, excited. The event felt like one giant mic drop after the next, from Spidey Miles Morales at launch. Loads of new and console-exclusive IP and indie content, new Astrobot and Sackboy to do family-friendly gaming with the kid, and the hoped but not expected Horizon reveal. Then, having had several moments in the presentation when I thought, is that going to be the console reveal? Only for them to pull back. They got to the end and they did, and they revealed the discless version. Total surprise. I got my PS2 well into the cycle, but 3, 4, and Pro all within year one. But the discless version may have made this a month one purchase for me. Oh, and the design is a beauty, but does mean I can't sneak it under the TV and pretend it's the old box. Yes, he's right. It's certainly not going to... There's no sneaking that through the front door, is there? I'm not sure whether it's even going to fit into my entertainment suite, Tom. I was trying to do some measurements based off the sort of fan-made sort of estimations of its size, and I just do not think. The PS4 Pro is a bit of a squeeze, as is the PS3. I'm a little concerned where I'm going to put this thing come the day.
I think... I hope it's not too massive.
I think if it's too big, it's going to end up on the floor somewhere hidden away. I've got no, and that's a shame because it looks amazing. Batmull, thank you, Batmull. I think a new commenter, but he's been a long-term listener and contributor to the Discord, amongst other things. He says the console looks pretty cool. However, it would have been nice to have got that price, which I think we're all looking for. As for the games, they look interesting, especially Demon's Souls Remastered, as I never owned a PS3, but I'm a From Software fan, so maybe I'll try and pick up a discless PS5 at some point, although I'm definitely going to get Series X first. That's where my friends and achievements are. Interesting. Harvey Retro, he's a man with his own podcast, Trash Tapes, Enigmatic Productions. He says, I normally hate white consoles, but the PS5 has got a sexy iRobot Portal Stormtrooper thing going on, which I love. Heart eye emoji. In terms of the games, some cool, some lame. Resident Evil 8 looks the right kind of bonkers. Just hope it can compete with a scare factor of 7. I was actually really excited about the cat in a Robot World game, Stray. Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to play as the cat. I'm well up for that. Cat heart eye emoji. He loves his heart eye emojis. Overall, I found the event so exciting. It reminded me of how I felt before the PS2 came out 20 years ago. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Computer game controller emoji, Tom. What do you think about Batmull and Harvey Retro's thoughts there?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Harvey Retro. He's just always got a great opinion, mostly because he agrees with what I say. But,
You're such. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Or do I agree with what he says? Who knows? Yeah, I knew he'd be keen in Resident Evil 8, being the big horror fan he is. But yeah, I think good points raised there by both. And thanks for commenting on the Instagram as well, Batmore. Nice to see you on there as well as the Discord. Yeah, good
Up
stuff.
next, Mr. Mystery. He's been... we brought him out of the woodwork, Tom, didn't we? And now he's commenting. Now we can see a picture of his face, which is great. Looks like he's playing the drums. Anyway, he says, some great titles on offer, but by far and away, the most exciting on the menu was Horizon. Console looks tremendously classy, whatever colour they'll do it in. Simply can't wait. My money's on Sony again this time. Which is,
yeah.
Mr. Mystery, is he in the Discord? I don't know. He should be. Needs to be.
Colour he's on about there. I hope we see a black version. I'd probably rather it in black. I do like the white. I think it looks quite interesting, but yeah, I always find they go a bit grubby.
How strange. You with your cleaner and your John Lennon style apartment, I thought you would have been all over that like a rash.
Me
Someone
too.
who I'm all over like a rash, Retro Gamer Thomas, supports us everywhere he can. His whole family do, be it Discord, be it Instagram, be it Twitter, be it YouTube, be it podcast. He's a fan of what we do, and we're very grateful. He says, I thought it was one of the best presentations I've seen from Sony. Very classy. As for the aesthetics of the console, probably the best looking console ever, in my opinion. That's bold, but it's certainly got that iconic style. Plus, this gen, Sony and Microsoft have gone down two completely different routes in terms of design. Microsoft seem to have gone for a more understated PC tower look, whereas Sony have gone for the futuristic cutting-edge look. Both look good, but I'm all over the futuristic look. I thought the game shown was quite clever, a mixture of follow-up games and new IPs, which really got me excited. Probably, though, for the standouts were Kena, Spider-Man, and above, Gran Turismo 7. Going back to its roots, excited much. I'm like a kid at Christmas. Tom, once again, your drawing. Is this going to be something we give to the fans?
No, sorry, I'm scrolling through the WhatsApp.
Oh, it sounds like a Sharpie rolling on some paper.
Sorry.
You're all good. Next up, Vajo Games. He says, not keen. Well, Vajo Games, new listener, not keen on the look of the actual console. It looks like they look like Go Faster Fins. And sending us to the bridge this week, Tom, Daisy Newton 5. It looks very slick and futuristic. The PS4 and lots of the other PlayStations are black. So this is a brave move by having it white. I'm very excited to see the graphics quality of the games, and I feel the new controls and see how they play. It looks great. Lady of Eloquence.
Thanks very much.
Paste there, Tom. Some bold points made. Obviously, the move away from black is interesting.
But didn't when they did the little teaser trailer for the event?
Yeah,
I'm sure the controller was black.
No.
In that video,
what lots of people were saying, but it was a white controller
with a shadow
on it.
I see.
People trying to get more from things than they probably ought to, really.
Yeah.
Just to summarise, Tom, obviously, interesting new design.
I'm most excited about the controller, really. I do like the look of the machine, but that controller looks really comfy. Some great features on there. And I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one.
Okay.
Should the price be right?
Well, Tom, what's he been up to this week? Because obviously now it's time for us to talk about the new release highlights, but we do that by getting our childhood hero, Stingray, who used to bring us our counterfeit videos and games as we lived in rural Lincolnshire. Now you're a big man over in New York doing your voiceover work. What's he been up to this week? What contraband has he been hawking off?
He has been hawking PlayStation 5 boxes, empty boxes, but he's been putting them up for pre-order to unbeknowing members of the public, thinking they're buying a PS5 ready pre-ordered for Christmas, but they're actually getting just a box.
I heard that he wasn't being so scrupulous as given an empty box. I heard he was putting in a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 2 and just suggesting to people that 3 plus 2 equals 5.
And wrapping them in a sheet of white cardboard.
Yeah.
Give him that look. Yeah, I think you might be right. He's
Either
got to have the
way.
weight. He's got to have the weight in the box, hasn't he? Else it's just
people know straight away. Yeah,
the con is over.
The con is completely up and smoked before he's even able to get away. As always, Tom is tearing down the drive. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingrays Boot, what's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriend all this week. These are the new release highlights for the week June 8th to June 14th, 2020. Listeners, these are out in digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be, very much could be, region dependent. Tom?
It's slim pickings.
I know which one I'm going with. It's the second one on the list. Do you know which one you're going with?
I'll go with the third on the list.
Yeah, that was my second choice. I've got my VHS that I want. So you kick off, and then we get to read our own mummies this week.
First up, Deck of Ashes on the PC, June 9th. Deck of Ashes is an adventure game with tactical card combat. One character at a time, lead the cast of anti-heroes on a quest for redemption. Explore the cursed fantasy world and hunt down powerful cards. Forge a unique battle deck and crush your foes. Can you rid the world of the Ash Curse?
Wow. Okay. Well, up next, Project Warlock, coming out on PS. They've nabbed themselves an exclusive here, Sony. Tom. Coming out on the PS4 June 9th, coming out on the Switch June 11th, and coming out on the Xbox One June 12th. Project Warlock is a first-person shooter that fans of Doom, Hexen, and Wolfenstein cannot miss. It serves you an exploding cocktail of bullets, spells, and monsters, battling through 60 levels of non-stop action, packed with bloodthirsty enemies and challenging bosses. That really piqued my interest when James and I were putting the script together. And it reminds me, there's another game coming out that's got a similar vibe that looks like a 32-bit shooter. I can't remember its name right now, but Project Warlock looks great. Looks to be very fun. Some very flat enemies, and there's lots of fast, frantic movement in there. And this, your choice for your mummy, the one that you're going to beg mummy for. What is it, Tom?
It's Beyond Blue, PC, PS4, and Xbox One, June 11th. Beyond Blue is a single-player narrative adventure that takes you deep into our planet's being, Blue Heart. Explore the awesome wonder and unbounded mystery that exists within the world's ocean.
Now, this game has got video and voiceover clips from the Blue Planet, and I've actually seen that it's garnering very, very positive reviews in what I thought would just be like Aquanaut's Holiday with some David Attenborough nailed on top, is actually seemingly quite an educational but thought-provoking game that's a viewing well above average. What's up next? Astronauts, PC June 11th, a noir spaceship life sim set in a solar system cut off from a ravaged Earth. Design your one-of-a-kind spaceship, hire crew with physical and emotional needs, enjoy detailed ship control panels and interiors, then manage your dysfunctional crew and ship as you fend off bankruptcy or worse. That looks okay. It's on PC, sort of thing that would probably do well with as with most of these games that come out on PC at the moment, will probably end up on Switch. What's up next, Tom?
Samurai Showdown on the PC as well, June 11th. Samurai Showdown has enjoyed worldwide success as a blade-wielding fighting game series since its first release in 1993. Over 10 years have passed since the last series installment, and it's now time for Samurai Showdown to return in a brand new game featuring high-end visuals and gameplay. With its story set 1 year before the very first installment, warriors and combatants from various backgrounds and with their own goals are about to battle to fulfill their destinies.
I don't know if you've checked that out or not, but I recommend you do. You being a Street Fighter fan, that looks great.
I played some of the old ones. I think they were released on the Wii U, maybe, and during desperate times on that console where there was nothing to play, I think I dabbled in those. They're quite good. So I'd be curious to see how a new one plays with a bit more fluidity and and sort of improved animations and
Here's
stuff.
the last pick out the boot before we name our VHSs. Warborn on the PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch, June 12th. Deploy for a battle in the variable armour, a technologically advanced suit of war with turn-based tactics, quick-fire clashes. Lead a strike force of deadly mecha to bring peace to the solar system in a 40-mission campaign. Create your own maps, practice in skirmish or battle across multiplayer. My VHS pick, after being inspired by one of Hybrid Retro posts, is Condor Man.
I think I have heard of that. And
It's great. There's a set. It's Michael Crawford of
some others do have them.
Yeah, Frank Spencer fame. Yeah, and he's Condor Man. And this is probably the biggest spoiler of the whole film, so you're probably not going to watch it anyway, but there's a bit where he's been driving around in this clapped out like old truck, and then it sort of opens up almost Mobile Armored Strike Command style, and inside is the Condor Mobile, which ends up being this super futuristic thing that he whizzes off in. Yeah, really cool. I remember I once caught that at my nan's at the big house, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. I begged my granddad not to turn it over. I was like, "Oh, don't turn it over, Grandpa." He let me watch it, but he left the room. What's your mummy VHS?
Says a lot about its quality, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because he used to watch all sorts. Why? He was a fan of the TV. He was a big fan of the TV. What's your mummy?
My mummy is Hard Target. I mentioned it earlier. It's an action film with Jean-Claude Van Damme, where he helps a daughter track down a strange father who's gone missing, and is believed to be involved in an illegal hunting game where humans are hunted for sport, usually ex-war veterans. And Jean-Claude Van Damme's character Chance helps her hunt the bad guys down.
Wow!
And bring them to justice. Have you not seen that?
I don't know.
Oh, it's great, mate.
The name rings a bell, but your description of it, which is probably flawed, is not ringing any bells for me. So I think I might even have it, you know. So I'll probably
the end fight is in like the bayou, and a lot of the hunters have got like very characteristic sort of like Street Fighter looks to them, like It's a classic 90s, that is.
Okay,
you need to watch it if you've not seen it.
And like Smokey disappears. He's left a box for a PS5, Tom, but I'm not picking it up. He can pick that up next time he comes back, right? Because, well, then again, if it's got a PS3 and PS2 in it, thing is, I paid him $4.99 for that box of Retro Tat with a PS5 on the front of it. So I'm a bit nervous. Do I pick it up? Yeah, sometimes he comes good, but sometimes he lets us down big time, does Ray. Tom, it's come to the end of the show, the bookend either side. At the beginning, I ask you what you have been playing. At the end of the show, I ask you what you're hoping to play.
Well, next week, I'll be away for a bit, and I'll also be playing The Last of Us Part 2. Fingers crossed if it gets delivered. Other than that...
You're telling me you're not doing a show next week?
Subtly, yeah. But I'll be back with a review of Last of Us Part 2. And, I don't think I'll be playing much else. The usual online
so I've got a one-man show to crank out. What should I make it about?
Have the week off.
No. You don't create an online media empire. You are
committed to the cause, aren't you?
You can't move this thing forward if you miss a day or you miss a week. It doesn't work like that.
I'll be sat in the World War I trench, one of us for smoke on us, like, yeah, we'll go over tomorrow. No, we've got to go today. No, tomorrow, mate. Tomorrow.
Unbelievable. Well, we'll
definitely go tomorrow.
I will apply pressure. Pressure to your septic wound of a life, and by
did you watch
next Saturday? You'll be wanting to do a show. Oh, I don't want the fans to think I'm the bad guy. No, well, you're not doing a very good job of that.
Did you watch 1917?
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought the constant dread that it brought was quite strong and palpable. Thought the anxiety it was able to build with a very quick emotional bond with the lead character or characters. Without spoiling it too much, that very quickly becomes character. And I thought, I mean, it's shades of lots of other war films, I thought. It was a good film. I've got nothing more to say about it, really, without spoiling it for people. So if they haven't seen it, I won't want to do that. As far as games concerned, obviously, we're both excited to receive our copies of Last of Us, which we will do a spoiler review.
Are you getting day one as well?
Yeah.
Good.
The way I've massaged Naughty Dog as well, I might be getting mine before you.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
Big pals with the Dirkman. Struckman.
That's probably why you got nothing, because you called him Dirkman.
Mr. Dirkman, can I have a copy of Last of Us?
Be gone, he says. You're even in the same country as him, and he has nothing to do with it. Other than that, what else am I going to be doing? Minecraft, obviously, that goes without saying. I think the next game I'm going to stream is No Man's Sky as well. I think it's got similar vibes, but plenty to see and do. And it's slow enough pace where I can talk without fear of dying every 2 seconds. What else? Probably going to play some retro. Probably going to... I've got some repairs to make to replace my Mega CD's battery. So there's that. And then some more Mega CD games that I'll be able to play because I've not been able to save. I've got a Sega Saturn memory jumper coming, which allows you to play copied games. It's an old console, so I don't think Sega are going to cry too much over lost revenue. And our loyal listener, Dougie McBain, who's father of Game Boy Matty, is sending me a repro of Police Noughts. It's probably going to be to the same level at this point as the Snatcher repro I bought from Retro Game Labs. If you want me to put it right, Retro Game Labs, get in touch and do the right thing and send me another. It's just happened on the rip, all right? I'm not looking to be a pain. All I want is a game that works. I didn't buy that game to put on a shelf and make out I own Snatcher. I bought that game from you to be able to play it. And with missing dialogue, one wonders how you're meant to play a dialogue-heavy game. Unbelievable. He's still got a chance to pull this from the jaws of death, Tom. He's still got to save. He's still got a chance to save this. Anything else you're planning on playing? You finished Last of Us a couple of weeks ago now, so you're all fired up on the story.
No, I've got an email to reply to about some guy who bought some copy of Snatcher that doesn't work, but I'll get back to him at some point.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's about right. That's right now. It feels like I'm dealing with you. Mickey Mouse tactics. On that, is that it? Shall I wrap up?
I don't think there's anything else.
Summarise. No. PS5 Reveal. Summarise it for me in 3 words.
Epic show time.
Wow. Good job you haven't written script for a while, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And on that rather lack of vocabulary note, Tom, that's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. Remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do that counts. See you, Tom.
See you, mate.